Today's business terrain is complex, but managing your business risks doesn't have to be. Cover Buddies is Malaysia's preferred insurance provider. Get that peace of mind knowing that our consultants can help you source and manage your insurance portfolio. For more information, visit our website at www.coverbuddies.com.
Welcome to today's program. So today we are going to be talking a little bit about how to purchase insurance. As simple as it may sound, but I believe that there are differences in how you purchase it, different channels. And it also depends on the type of product that you're looking for, whether it's a B2C sort of consumer product, or are you looking more for like your B2B sort of like enterprise or SME, SMB. Let's just start it this way. In most 99.9% of the time, it's because of an incident that has happened, or it's an urgency that you need it. It's not something that where you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, hey, you know what, I need to pick it up. It doesn't happen that way. Now, take life insurance or medical insurance, for example. Usually it's because something happened within the family and then they sense that there is an urgency. They see the need for this type of insurance. And for companies, when we talk about like casualty insurance and so forth, right, they just want a contract and that contract requires them to have a certain type of coverage, number one. Number two, or there was an incident where basically there was an allegation for basically liability, or even so, a fire, or even let's say a burglary incident has happened, and then they realize that they actually need burglary insurance or theft and so forth. So 99.9% of the time, most people, when they purchase insurance, it is because of this sort of incidents that's occurred to someone around them or to themselves or so forth. So to begin with, let's talk about insurance types, because this is important. Generally, there are basically two segments. I'm just going to break it up into two segments so that it's easy to understand. On one side, you have the life/medical insurance, right, where basically it's handled generally by the life insurance companies. On the other hand, you have the general insurance. It's also known as casualty insurance. Casualty insurance covers anything that basically revolves liability-related stuff, public liability, even auto insurance sits under casualty, fire, theft, professional indemnity, cyber insurance, the list goes on. Those all belong to general side. And on the life side, medical side are basically the life insurers and all that. Now, how many players are there right now to date? Because there are so many mergers and so forth, I'm not going to give you a specific number. But to date, there are less than probably 15 or 20 life insurers here in Malaysia. In general insurance will have basically about 20 odd. At this point, at the time of this recording, there are about 20 odd players out there in the market. So these are basically the segment life and general. And then, of course, on the other side, you have the reinsurers. So just real quick, what the insurers do. The reinsurers, basically, they are the ones that they're basically at the back, right? You can't see them. They don't front policies. What does that mean? What reinsurers do is that there are instances where general insurance companies, where you buy, let's say, an insurance for your business and you insure it for, let's say, 10 million ringgit. And that risk may seem as too big for the company. They do not want to take that big a risk. Imagine there's a claim, they lose 10 million. Let's just say, simple example. So they would rather pass some of the risk to, let's say, a reinsurer. So a reinsurer basically can take a certain portion of it, 30%, 50%, sometimes even 90% is not unheard of. In many ways, right, they are behind the scenes and the insurance company is buying it from them. Can you imagine? Insurance companies actually also need to buy insurance from somebody. And that's actually from the reinsurers. So that is very, very general. There are more things to it, but don't worry because they do not front policies. They do not sell it to you as a consumer directly. It's basically between the insurer and the reinsurers. They do it in the back end. It's all you need to know. Let's talk a little bit about different channels where you can actually purchase insurance. The number one most common channel, of course, is that you can go to the insurance branches. And these are basically from the companies themselves, the insurers themselves, okay, the providers themselves. They have different branches. You can walk in there. It's retail. You pick it up, right? You look for, let's say, like your fire insurance or maybe a medical card or, you know, your public liability and so forth. The simple ones, you can actually pick it up from there, right? It's as retail as it gets, right? You tell them what you want. You tell them the insured value. You tell them the cost. You say it's okay. You pick it up. Now, what are the pros and cons? Well, the pro is that it's quick. You are dealing directly with the company. You get your answers there straight away. You pick it up. Thank you very much. That's it. The cons to that is that you are pretty much doing all the servicing yourself. I wouldn't say you have no service, that's not right, but you are pretty much, it's self-serve, you're handling everything yourself. That means when it comes to claims, when it comes to, let's say, endorsements basically is, let's say, there are changes. Certain insurance products you have to announce where you have to declare if you're a smoker or you stop smoking, you get a discount right away, or the location of your business where you are insuring your risk has changed and so forth. You have to do it yourself. That means you will deal with basically the application, you would deal with the follow-ups, you would deal with ensuring that you get the documentation and so forth. In other words, it's all you. There is nothing wrong with that. Many businesses do that. Many individuals also do that. As long as you are very familiar with how it works, what to do next, and you're totally comfortable with that, you have the time, by all means, go ahead. Another channel, of course, is basically through brokers and, of course, the agencies. And traditionally, the brokers work with middle market or SMEs, SMBs, middle market, and then, of course, enterprise level and so forth. But what we have seen now is that they also work with all the way to the individual level. That's fine, because we also see that agencies, where traditionally the agencies would only serve, let's say, individuals, or basically there's SMEs, SMBs sometimes. But now we have seen those lines being blurred. Basically, we also see agencies handle SME, SMBs, middle market, enterprise, and all the way to GLCs. Now, what is the advantage? The advantage of when you work with video brokers or agencies is that they are able to source for you from different providers at different costs, right? Different terms, and with basically even different features. Because the last thing you want is that you do not want to pick up a product and last minute, you find out that when you want to file a claim, you realize that it does not cover for what you want to claim for. So in other words, you get the service, you get the advice. You get advice, right? You get good servicing advice and basically all things that you need to know about the product. Because let's face it, they deal with the products every day. They are a little bit more impartial because they have a wider range of providers to help you out with. So the advantage is there. So the disadvantage to that is basically, it may be a little bit more expensive. They would basically have a fee attached to it for their services, which we can understand, right? Because, sending off documents and doing the servicing and hiring staff and overheads and all that, you get my point. Basically, obviously, there will be slightly higher premium. However, the service is there. At least you do not need to be running around up and down, doing your endorsements, chasing for your claims, waiting for the right documents and, thinking of what the next step is and so forth. The list goes on. So in most instances, what we do see is that it is all rosy until the time when you need to make a claim or you need to settle certain paperwork and you are not entirely familiar because insurance products can be very, very complicated. So that's brokers and agencies and so forth. The next channel that people usually buy insurance is also known as the banker channel. What's banker? Banker is basically through the banks. And when does that happen? We've all been there. We have all experienced it. Banker channel is basically like, for example, when you buy a home, take a home loan, they invite you to pick up an insurance policy or fire insurance and so forth. Another time is when you do your credit card application, and that's where they offer you personal accident, PA. So those are all through banker channel. That's basically the bank reselling insurance products to their customer base. Now, pro and cons. Well, the pro is that it is convenient for them. The cons is that at the end of the day, you're on your own again. That means in the event it comes to claims and it comes to doing endorsements and so forth, you would have to head back to the insurer directly to be able to handle all those endorsements and changes and so forth. Next thing is online. So another way is that you can actually purchase your products online. These are basically for products like, for example, your travel insurance, your personal insurance. I think recently we also have applications where you can buy simple medical cards online. So advantage of that is that it's very convenient. It's quick. You basically do that transaction online, you pay for it, and they email you that coverage. So I think that also extends to other types of insurance classes like your auto insurance, which is very common. You also have your fire insurance and so forth. So those things are already offered online. So the big question is when to use what. which channel should I use? And that question really, and the answer to that is very simple. It depends on what sort of service you want and what sort of products. Personally, if you ask me, simple products like travel insurance, I think that's okay. I think when it comes to more complicated products, like your non-standard products, like your cyber insurance, your professional indemnity, your public liability, your directors and officers, that sort of products are a lot more complicated. I think it's best to actually use an agency or brokerage to actually help you out, because sometimes, just like in business or whatever you do, right, you always want to be able to work or partner with people that can help you cover your blind spots, certain things you cannot see. And these are people that have already been doing it in a daily manner. So they would obviously know a little bit more. So I think that's something that to consider. I think you can also consider, for example, if you were to buy, let's say, auto insurance, those things are pretty much standard. They're online, they're quick. Simple fire insurance, you can. Just watch out when it comes to claims and all that, you're on your own. So I think to answer that question very, very simply is, at the end of the day, how much service do you require? If you need more advice, if the product's more complicated and all that, I think you should actually use a brokerage or an agency. But if they're more simple products where, if it's not a big deal, then maybe you can use online, or so to speak, go straight to basically the insurer's branch and so forth. So that's all I have to share for today's episode. I hope that helps. If you have more questions, check our website at www.coverbuddies.com. That's www.coverbuddies.com. Drop us a line or use our live chat and we'll try our best to answer your question.
If you enjoyed our show today, be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media, or sign up for our newsletter through our website at www.coverbuddies.com so you'll get all the good stuff sent directly to you.